So, as you may or may not be aware, I use the Tandem T-Slim pump to manage my diabetes, and the Tandem T-Slim in the UK is getting an update, which means it's going to be compatible with the Dexcom G7. Now currently I'm on the Dexcom G6 because they weren't compatible yet, so Tandem T-Slim is getting the update 7.7, which is super exciting. So it should be available next week or the week after for the general population, and there's some things that are changing with, like, the changes that come with the pump upgrade. Okay, the first change is the integration with G7. Now you can use the new pump upgrade with G6 until you get upgraded to G7, but that is the newest thing. And the Dexcom G7 is smaller, it's waterproof, it's a bit flatter, which is nice, and it also has only a 30-minute warm-up time, whereas the G6 has a 2-hour warm-up time. And you can insert the G7, the new sensor, before the old sensor's expired. So say you put the new G7 on 30 minutes before it's expired, and you have no warm-up time and no time between sensors, which is lovely. Okay, the one I'm excited about, it has an exercise timer. So you can now set a timer for a particular exercise duration, so you do not have to remember when to stop exercise. I always forget to turn off exercise mode or turn off my basal profile, and then the next day I wake up and I'm like, why is my blood sugar high? Oh, because I forgot to turn it back to my everyday basal profile, and it's all on my exercise basal profile. So you can set the timer between 30 minutes and 8 hours, which is amazing. And I think when I was on the Medtronic before, I think it was a 670G a while ago, that had temporary basals. That's the big thing I've been missing, and I'm so happy that that's coming. You no longer need to stop an active activity before switching to a new activity. So if sleep is active, you can also start exercise by just tapping exercise. You don't have to switch between them, they can have both on at the same time. Honestly, I think those are the main things that are happening. Air Liquide, who is the distributor for the Tandem T-Slim in the UK, they called me and asked me if I would be an early adopter for this update. So I'm going to download the update now. I've got my pump, I've got my thing, I've got my code to download it, so I'm going to do that now. And then I also called my nurse, my diabetes nurse, and asked if they could upgrade my G6 funding to my G7 funding, and they said, yeah, that's no problem, let me just get like senior authority for this before I actually approve it. So I'm hoping that approval will come through in the next day. May not, but it's looking good. I'm due a delivery of Dexcom, so I'm hoping that they can just send out G7s instead of the usual G6s, and then that'll be me transitioned over. When I called, they said that I was the first person who had asked about it, which hopefully means that, like, everyone's gonna get it, because if they've approved me so much, so fast, that everyone can get it. Anyway, let's go and upgrade this pump. The first thing you have to do is download the updater to your computer, and then you just accept and plug in your pump to the computer. Then click continue. There are a few things it's asking you to do. Have backup insulin available, check your blood glucose, suspend insulin, remove it from your body, take out the cartridge, make sure it's plugged into the wall, and ensure you can continue the full update once it's started. From there, it asks you to go on your pump, go to the home screen, turn it off, click update on the computer, and then enter your user ID that you've been given. I got my user ID emailed to me, and then it just updates. It gives you a prompt, you say yes, and then it just updates. In a second, you'll see when it wakes up, it comes up with all the alarms and vibrations just to test them. After that, I ask you for your update ID again. You just enter that, and that's it done. So that is my pump upgraded, or updated, not upgraded. Hopefully it works out all well. I will see. Next steps are to test it, so to test out the new exercise timer, and then get a G7 and test it with the G7 and see how that is. I don't know when I'm going to get the G7, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully soon, fingers crossed, but until then, there's a couple of changes. For example, it looked a tiny bit different, but that was because I didn't have my sensor connected, so it actually isn't different. Like, if you look at the home screen, it looks exactly the same as it did before, and then the options menu is exactly the same. The only change is if you go into activity, you can like have exercise and sleep on at the same time. And then in activity, if you go into exercise, for example, you can set a timer or you can just start. So these are the main differences, apart from the G7 integration. But it's very exciting that the UK have finally got the G7 integration, and I'm looking forward to everyone getting it. And thanks for Air Liquide for sending it to me early.